That's all right. If he gets here, he gets here. Keep putting his item on the agenda, then he doesn't even bother to show up. What the heck? I did see him. He came to the swim meet, but he was late to be the starter. So he
might
was
still be.
running.
You might still get.
All right, I guess we're gonna begin. Roll call. Jeremy,
Present.
Mark. No. Kim, yes. Lori. Lori. No, Lori. Darla.
Here.
And Lori.
Yep.
All right. Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag, the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I have never ran that line together, but Peggy has trained me. And she's not even here anymore, and I do it. Oh, all right. Lori, did you adjust? Okay, you didn't. So adjustments to the agenda. We had talked about today. You actually have financial reports to talk about, right?
I do.
Tina sent them. Did you go through them?
Yes, I did go through them. I didn't see anything abnormal.
Okay, well, we didn't put it on the agenda because we didn't think the reports would be here this month. So,
Okay,
we can add it back, or if you don't have anything.
I don't have anything abnormal to report. At some point, if the board wants me to present any numbers or graphs or anything like that, I would like guidance in that area to make it official.
Okay,
Yeah, we can.
In the meantime, I just look for anything abnormal to report.
okay,
Or of interest. Or of something to celebrate.
yeah, like
There's some good
lots
numbers
of
in
revenue.
there. Yeah.
Okay,
You know, we
Well,
did actually have
it-
something up. I
I-
think we'll bring it up.
I mean, I have a few things I could say about the financials.
all right, so we'll, in the treasure, 60, 70 altogether, Laura Lee, could be you. That will be our, do we have to vote on adding this?
No.
I don't think so. I think we're
She
okay.
can just mention it in her director.
Okay, so approve the January minutes. Did you guys all read these?
Mhm.
Everybody good?
A motion to approve the January minutes.
And I will second it.
All right, so we have a motion, all in favor? Aye. All opposed? Nobody? All right. So that takes care of the minutes. All right, unfinished business. Laura Lee and Will are gonna talk about the pool renovation project.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. So, William Lewis is with the school district, and he was in our meeting last month where Jason Shalek with Remore Construction kind of presented an idea to do some renovations. And, so anyways,
We had a chance to talk, and we had board, and we were impressed with Ryan, just to be straightforward, took kind of next steps, do some research there. HMK is the district's construction managers who we've used for the last 5 years for all of our successful construction projects. Interesting enough, they're building a pool in Bend with HMK right now. So we got a kind of a feel for who
Nice.
HMK was. Laura Lee's done a great job with your budget, and we have some reserve funds. What we would like to do is partner with the lab board with 50/50 to proceed with the pool renovation.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, so there's a kind of opportunity there to partner, and anything else you want to add there?
just, I was really excited about this prospect because I had shared at the last meeting that I finally felt like I could see like this kind of the start of the light at the end of the tunnel. You know, because we do have some healthy balances in our, in the LGIP and stuff, and so, you know, when Jen and Will kind of mentioned this idea of us collaborating, I mean, it was huge, so I'm really thinking like, wow, this could really happen, so.
So is that, you said 50/50, is that the entire project
Yes.
or, so not piecing it, just
No.
doing the whole thing at once?
I think that makes sense. Given, I mean, there may be some opportunities to look at it creatively, and I'm not. If that comes up and that's the best value,
Right.
we should take a look at that. That being said, often when you have the contract out here for the first one and done, it's typically cheaper. But
Right.
we'll have to see. We spend some time with the, with the quoting process and see what we're looking at. I think there's tremendous opportunity. I think we, I'm not gonna, don't quote me on this.
Right.
But I think this is a 2025 project. I think there's an opportunity for us, even in February, as we look at this, to potentially knock this out in 2025. If we're down in August, somewhere in that range, I think there's an opportunity for us to continue and look at this being knocked this down, or getting this done.
Okay, so I guess I just would want to understand, so there were two quotes that we had, one
Yep.
for the
Design work.
design and then we had the other part of the project, though they would still have to bid on that part of the project, right? Because we would still put out RFPs. Now, are you guys handling the RFP process? Do we still have to do that? What does it look like?
Well, it's a great point. I think we have the expertise because we do this often.
Yeah, I would agree.
RFP process. RFPs are a pain in the tail, let's just call it.
Right.
They're challenging, they're difficult, there's a lot to it. So we have that process kind of down. So in my mind, it would be easy for us to transition and help out in that and kind of add value there. The design work, interestingly enough, was just under the $25,000 level.
Mhm.
There's some strategy there, strategic value there. The reason for that is because once you go to 25, then you have to get close.
Right,
So from Primark's perspective, they sneak it in there and we can just literally sign the contract. We're good to go. As far as the additional, we would have to go out for some bids. Obviously, he's interested. And to
Right.
be honest with you, he's kind of one of the only players in the state. So that's an important piece of this is, and they're quality firm, but we still have to go through and make sure that we're meeting all of the procurement laws there.
okay,
Just to be straightforward, I would bring in HMK, that'd be off the district, but a project this size, you need to have a construction manager. And basically, to let everybody know what that is, that's the second set of eyes. You want somebody double checking to make sure that everything's capable and that it protects the all of these things. That's what it would.
Sorry, we're just finding out Mark's on his way.
Yeah.
And that's very generous, thank you.
Yeah,
Because
absolutely.
Bringing
Yeah,
in
we're
that
excited.
expertise and that knowledge is
Sure.
really helpful.
We're excited. We think we can partner and make this a special opportunity.
Yeah,
So what would and I think where you're headed is from a district point of view, would we just be? We'd owe you, I guess it's.
So
What we're looking at.
literally, we're talking about this. The reality is you have a certain amount of money that you have available right now.
Hmm.
And if there's additional resources that are needed, we could do some type of fund loan or something like that to make sure that the project gets done in the timing. Because the rough order of magnitude kind of project, it looks 750, 850 was what they were quoting.
Right.
That's kind of in all of our budgets, so I think we can start moving on that. I'm not sure how you want me to proceed though, because we gotta get moving if we're gonna get
Mhm.
going on 2025, especially if we're looking at kind of that August timeframe. Like what type of information you need from me, I'd be happy to come back to the board meetings to kind of give construction updates, things that, I have HMK running timelines right now. So what the timelines would look like is we're starting today, this is what we're doing tomorrow, all the way through finalizing the construction project. So what that would look like as far as when bids go out, board approvals, it's various things, et cetera.
so Laura Lee, does this opportunity give us what we need to get the $25,000 from the Ford Foundation?
I would think most definitely.
That would be
Yeah,
helpful.
most definitely,
Yeah.
because, I mean, I'm gonna go in and like tweak the project. And which they said, oh, that happens all the time, no big deal. And so they just wanted to see that half of that project was started, or, we figured out financing, well. I mean, between the two districts, I would say the whole project's, like, we
Right.
figured it out.
Well,
So,
and if HMK is gonna put together the timeline proposal,
Yeah.
then you can always give that to them that we
yeah,
clearly have
yeah,
what
and
the steps in place.
there's still gonna be, just a couple things to kind of dovetail off what Will said. So there's only a certain amount of months in the year that we could even do this project. Because of the water table so high. So we, we can't drain the pool this time of year. We can't drain the pool really until August, September, early October. Okay, so our plan, or my plan was if we could shut down sometime in August, mid-August maybe. And, Jason thought it would be about 2 months, give or take. And, maybe it's 8 weeks, maybe it's 10 weeks. I mean, but that's perfect time. And then,
Well, and we'd have our normal 2-week maintenance.
well, I mean, that
So
would,
just after,
it
yeah.
would be longer than 2 weeks.
No,
but-
I was just thinking it's kind of an add-on to that.
Yeah, and anyways, well, then we open back up, maybe by the beginning of October or somewhere in October.
That would be good.
And, then we still, can capitalize on our big summer revenue. And maybe shorting ourselves just a few weeks is all of that. And so I think this is really good timing. But, we have to get going if we're gonna do it, because, if we miss that window, then we're waiting till next late summer or next fall.
Right.
Because we can't do this project, in the
Right.
winter or the spring when it's raining.
No, I think this is great. I guess our only question would be, what's our commitment to the school district? Because it will turn into your project that you're managing that we're contributing to.
Okay, sure, yeah.
Yeah.
I think we were looking at 15, but we'll pay for HMK, so you'll bring up. And that's not cheap, so it's like, I'm trying to be sensitive.
Right,
there.
Appreciate that. Yeah. So we'd be looking at 425.
Well, it kind of depends on what the final bid that we accept comes in on.
Right.
Like maybe we get a bid that we all like, that's the 750 range, or maybe one that's 800. I mean, I wouldn't get too hung up on that number right now because, I think whichever, if it's a little bit on the lower side, that'll be great. If it's a little bit above that, I think we're still in really good shape.
Are we paying
So-
for 50% of the design?
Yes.
Is that, okay,
Yes,
so
that's part
splitting
that.
both of them, right? Okay, yeah.
That's good.
Just, yeah, the
Yeah.
whole
Right.
thing, when we finally settle on a bid, whatever that number ends up being,
Right.
then,
But if we went with someone else for the project, we would still owe Reamer the design.
Well, I
And
don't
this-
think they have the bidding requirements.
Yeah. The bidding would be separate.
Right.
We're this, about order of magnitude, that quote, I'm looking at that saying, okay, it could be $1 million.
Right.
Right, so our kind of cap is around 500 is what we're looking at from a budgetary perspective. Because I don't know, that's not necessarily a budget where it's showing contingency and things like this.
Right.
Right.
Because things go wrong, right?
Yes.
We're gonna get underneath the concrete and go, whoa, we didn't know that,
yeah,
right?
there's a giant rock right here.
Exactly, so all those little pieces that we gotta take into account.
Right.
The district kind of trying to say, okay, the rough order of magnitude plus maybe a contingency. Get us to that kind of $1 million range, 500,000 a piece, that would include all in, except for HMK.
Right.
That makes sense?
Yes.
Okay.
And then there's still gonna be, equipment or things that we're gonna have to replace that are not really in that budget. For instance, like new starting blocks. And, new starting blocks are like $3,000 a piece. And we need 6 of them. So, it's like, oh, wow, we're looking at, $30,000 or thereabouts, or anywhere from 18 to more per starting blocks. Or for starting blocks, and then we're gonna have to change out the lift chairs, the ADA lift chairs, because they're not gonna probably bolt right back down. Because our decks and everything are gonna change, and we'll have, we'll have those gutters that just go right to the edge. We don't have the coping like we do now. So anyways, so all that to say, we can still fundraise and we can still go out and get community to buy into some of these extra things that we're gonna have to replace that are gonna be outside this budget. But, I think that's still a good opportunity. And, if anybody's been to the Albany pool, they replaced their blocks several years ago. And, they have 6 different businesses that, they put their names on that block. So we could probably get something like that. And, you know, I think the community should look at this as just a huge win. You know, we're not asking the taxpayers for any more money. We're not going out for a bond. We're not going out for a levy or anything like that, you know? And I would think that the community would just be, this is a win-win. You know, it's a win for the school district. It's a win for us. It's a win for all the patrons that are gonna come and use our pool. And I just think the community is gonna be super excited about that. And so we'll probably see people that wanna contribute or wanna donate.
Have been waiting to see some action.
Yeah.
but-
I got a question. Let's play worst case scenario here. Can we do the build out, rip out the blocks, rip out the lift and operate that way for an extended period of time if we don't have the money to actually do those final touch-up pieces? If we can perform the whole build out, but we can't quite make that final mile,
Well, I mean,
or were we not allowed to open back up again until that's done?
well, I mean, there might be some of that, but
Yeah,
ADA, it has.
yeah,
to-
we
that
we
needs
have to
have
have,
that.
we have to have,
So it has to be finished before we're allowed to open back up.
yeah,
Not the blocks.
not the blocks,
Not the blocks.
the Lynn
But
County
you
Health
have to have
Department won't
that.
care about the blocks. Now, our swimmers will care about the blocks.
Yeah.
Okay, but, yeah,
I'm
the
just
state,
trying to think of the,
but if they're in by January,
what can we do if things
well,
go wrong?
November,
November.
but, I mean, we're, there, yeah, well, I mean, that's not gonna determine whether we do this project or not. So, we will,
Is there anything else that we would have, if we weren't going to do this project, as we were getting closer to shut down for maintenance for the 2 weeks in the summer? I mean, at the end of the summer, is there anything else that we would have, any other big ticket items that we would have been trying to take care of this year?
well, certainly, I can think of two things, which one is the warm pool is gonna need to get repainted again because we had, you know, equipment malfunction. You know, the paint that we bought that we put on last summer just is failing miserably. So we are gonna have to redo that this summer, we know that. And then the big pool, the whole main pool is so bad with chipping paint and just, it's atrocious. And we're to the point where the state could come in and say we no longer have like a non-porous surface because we've got pitting and delaminating so bad. But I don't, you know, usually when the inspector comes, like we're busy and so it's hard to really see the bottom of the pool. You know, when there's people splashing around up there. Now, if I brought him down here and pointed out all these areas when the water was super calm, he might be like, oh, wow, that looks pretty bad. So, I mean, yeah, we're gonna have to address,
But the bid does not include either.
yeah, but replastering the pool is taking care of both of those problems.
Okay, that's
Okay,
what I
so
was
it is
asking.
taking
it's
care of
not in
both of
the
those
bid.
while we're doing
Yes, but that would be a big money maker, huge time
Right.
suck. I mean, just the labor, and I know. Like,
It's 4 weeks just for the paint.
yeah,
Right,
And they're talking 10 weeks for the project.
right,
yeah,
So we were gonna be closed for the majority of that anyway.
right. No, and
Yeah.
that's good, because that was part of my question. Are we actually taking care of some of the things that we would have spent money on anyways, even if we weren't going into the project?
yeah,
Right.
absolutely,
That's
Okay.
a good thing.
yeah,
That's what I was hoping the answer. was.
yeah.
Good.
Um,
Well, I think that's wonderful.
So
on his way.
do,
Okay.
I mean, I just think it might be good for you guys to maybe make a motion that we wanna go forward with this, or.
I agree with you, but I would like to wait for Mark to get here and just have at least more than the 3 of us.
I do have one final question, this might be more, just for you. As we're getting the quotes and whatnot, can we get like a dual quote for the portion of project and the whole project in case it runs over that cap? So we got a fallback?
We can set up the quote out. And so typically what you do is you have a design spec and then you say, this is the core of the quote. And then we have attitude alternatives. So let's say we're gonna do the deck, the gutter system, and a separate quote would be for the resurfacing of the material. Just so I'm just making this up off the top of my head here. So you have 2 separate quotes then. So if you get in trouble, you can do one without the other.
I like that idea, because we obviously need to move forward with something.
Right.
Obviously, the full project would be ideal, but
If we were short, of
Yeah,
funding
yeah.
at the end. Is that, did I hear you offer that you might be able to help cover that?
Yes.
As a loan, though, is what you said, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
So if you need help on your 50%.
Yeah.
We're willing to
Okay,
help.
and that's extremely generous, because that keeps us from scrambling, trying to find a backup plan.
That's kind of where we were at, you know, when we're looking at the budget, it's like, okay, let's make sure that you're solid too, we don't want that.
Right,
right,
Right.
Right.
Yeah, I suspect we probably will end up needing a small one, so details on that would also be very helpful.
Sure, yeah, okay.
I'm thinking 100 grand, maybe somewhere around there. When I looked at the numbers, it felt like that might be the gap we're gonna be running into.
Laura Lee, are you able to tell us, if we're closed for 10 weeks, what the loss of revenue is?
I mean, no, not off the top of my head, but the also thing too that you gotta think about is, you know, we'd lay off staff for that time. And so then the savings in payroll and PERS and everything else would probably more than make up for that loss of revenue. Cause September is one of our lowest revenue months anyways, because, you know, we're shut down usually for maintenance stuff. And then, you know, back to school and all that, so, you know,
It's
usually.
good timing, and you're going right into the new tax year too.
Right.
New tax.
Yeah,
season.
so, you know, waiting till like the mid-August, so we can gobble up that good summer revenue. And then having a closure, I mean, we'll have some little bit of trickle of property tax money coming in, but. I think I think it'll be totally doable.
It's an opportunity for a land.
It
Yes.
is.
That's
It is.
really what-
Thank you,
Yes.
Will. It-
Yes.
This is great.
And I think we all agree that that is valid.
Mhm.
But I would still like Mark to get here and at least hear what we're talking about, so he can be included.
Maybe progress. Yeah.
He was on his way though, right?
Uh,
Does he
he-
have too far to go?
Dead battery.
Oh,
So if
okay.
he's- If he's still stuck, then I think we go forward.
Well, were you staying for the whole meeting
I can.
regardless? Okay.
Okay.
So do we want to just skip and have Corey do her presentation so
Sure.
that if you don't want to stay for the whole meeting, you can get out of here?
But it's just gracious to wait for Mark if we can.
Yes,
And I do have some audits.
thank you. Is there only two?
There's 3, so
Oh,
that's.
See, I'm doing that.
oh, you're typing, okay.
Okay, ready? Yep. So I'll go over the reports to the board. That is our required communication with you first. I'm Corey, one of the district's auditors, sorry, for those that don't know me. So we're required to communicate to you any specific accounting policies that we lack what they call authoritative guidance for. You don't have any. You're fine. We didn't have any difficulties when we performed the audit. We had a couple of journal entries, but nothing that was large enough to be called a misstatement. We didn't have any disagreements with management, always a good thing. To our knowledge, there were no other outside accountants consulted over accounting issues that came up. Y'all are pretty straightforward, so there's not really any complex accounting issues we're dealing with. And then, of course, you have some required schedules that deal with PERS and the management's discussion and analysis that are in the front. We just talked in that letter about the fact that we look at that, but we don't technically audit it. So the PERS information comes from audited financials, but we don't technically do that audit. The next letter in that packet is our audit findings. We don't have any audit findings that are what we call significant deficiencies or material weaknesses. And a big chunk of that is because you have Koopman doing the bookkeeping on the outside, and so that takes care of a lot of risk and internal control issues that we might run across. She's a good first line of defense in that questions she classifies. We'll talk about a few errors that we noted. But other than that, things are good. So we don't have any internal control issues we ran across. We did have a couple of over expenditures, and I will get back to those. And then we had an expenditure from contingency. I guess we can just talk about the appropriation. So the contingency expenditure, and these are both related to Oregon budget law, and that was the issues we ran across. In Oregon, you budget for contingency, and it's in case we need to move something, in case we have to repair a boiler mid-year, or, whatever comes up. you cannot legally spend money from contingency. And so, the transfer to the swim club fund was coded as a contingency item this year. So the reason I bring it up for you as a board is as you're reviewing those financials, when you get them monthly, if you see an actual amount in your contingency line item, we should be going back to Tina and saying this needs to be fixed because that's technically not allowed under Oregon budget law. So it's one of the places. The other, and we always talk to Tina about this stuff, so we have already spoken with her, but as you as a board, as you're looking at your financials, that's one of the things that I would have you, just double checking. One of the other things is that you got a grant for the diving board donation. It was netted against expenses, which in accounting we don't do. In theory, it helps because you're like, oh, that offset the expense, but in the reality, we have to show the revenue separate from the expenses. The reason that I even go over it is two things. First, again, as a board, you knew you had a $6,000-ish grant donation that came in. If you didn't see that in the grant donation line item, there's a question to be asked because this has happened for multiple years. It's not consistent. She doesn't do it with everything, but just one of those things for you to keep an eye on is that you should always see that donation revenue increasing as you get things donated. And especially in this season you're in right now, that's something that's important to keep an eye on. The other reason that we're talking about that is that's what caused the other over expenditure because you were over in that category by just over $6,000. So had that not been netted, you would have known to do a budget change and to fix that before year end. So those were the two kind of issues that popped up. They were both also then over expenditures when they were fixed, more than you had budgeted because of having to fix them. Does that make sense?
Mhm.
Okay.
So
All right.
let me just ask you,
Yes.
if we were to receive a donation from the bingo people, what was that, $2,500, which is lovely. That should show up in the donation.
Well, yeah, that's not what she's referring to. That, all of those we're putting in under PEP. So that's,
But if it's a donation that later transfers to PEP, would it?
yeah.
Every cut she's shown in that donation line, no problem. It's these kind of these
It's-
one-off.
Oh,
these are
got it.
tied to a specific
Yeah.
project
Yeah,
that sometimes we see go against the expense. It went
Right.
into the capital outlay line instead of a grant or donation.
So
Yeah.
if the blocks were donated,
Exactly.
Then we
You
need to
expect
make
see
sure they're
all of
in-
those
in the right
donation
spot.
or grants.
Okay.
Yes,
Okay.
yeah,
that's the
Yeah.
perfect example. Yes,
yeah. And see that, yeah, it's,
go ahead.
well,
Oh,
I
great.
I did not know that those people that wanted to pay for the diving board, like, they hit me up after they basically saw that we got it. And then they're like, oh, we wanted to buy that. And so I tried to talk him out of it, honestly. I was like, well, how about donate it to PEP or, because that would be super easy. But they were like, no, it has to go to the diving board. So anyways, so that, yeah.
That's
But-
good, good to know.
I mean, if everyone came in afterwards and just wanted to fund everything, we wouldn't be mad.
Yeah, we'd figure out how to do that.
We'll take it. So then if we look at operations, I prefer the fund financials. You had a positive change in net assets on a full accrual level, but we're adding in all the pension liabilities changes to all the different categories that relate to that. So it kind of skews where you're at from a budget standpoint. If we look at it from a budget standpoint, overall, you increased fund balance, which I'm sure you're already aware of, by you just barely broke even. It was about $9,000 that you guys increased. So you didn't decrease fund balance, which is, I know, good, based on the last couple of years. In the general fund, the unassigned, so we already have 25 that was committed to PEP. And then the unassigned amount was about $400,000. And the capital fund had $70,000 that it carried over. So you do have a good chunk there. That you didn't need to pull from fund balances last year. So assuming that things stay steady, that should stay the same. And that's about it. Other things that we looked at for Oregon law that we have to, public contracting was fine. Will was just talking about that. You guys did a good job on that. You had insurance and you were in approved banks, which you're required to be. So that's it. Questions?
I guess a little bit about the conversation we're in. So if school district will take the lead on this project, we will be paying back our 50%. And we have a good plan for what that would look like.
I can't speak to that. I would assume they would just have you pay 50% of the invoices as they come to you,
Okay.
assuming you have funding for budget purposes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That makes
But
perfect
I,
sense.
however, what's easiest for,
Okay, that's what I was hoping, so I was hoping
Yeah,
you would say, is
yeah.
we just kind of follow the lead of, that you give
Yeah.
us.
Well, and then too, like, part of the things that they ask for when they do our audit is do we have any new contracts that we've signed, you know? Did we, do we do anything changes to the finances, or, you know what I mean? So if we entered into a contract, then they'd see those, and then if we did some kind of intergovernmental agreements or whatever, like, you know, they would be getting copies of all of that too, so.
Yeah.
And then that's just another layer of, you know, oh, hey, make sure you do it this way or whatever.
Right.
So.
Perfect.
But it's nice to know that, I mean, you do have that 450-ish thousand carryover that you didn't need to touch. You know,
Right.
last year and the year before you did, but it was because of the boiler, if I remember correctly. And so, so it hasn't been something that you've needed to rely on fund balance, you know, which is comforting as you look at a giant.
Very
project.
much so, yeah.
So.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, that's what we've been hoping, and we knew we were pretty close, we've been talking about it, so I think that would be great. Good. Thank you.
Thank
Yeah, thank you,
you.
Cory.
Jim said Mark, 10 minutes? Few minutes?
Should be 5 minutes now, so we're getting there, we're getting there. Well, I'm gonna wait for Mark to do the big giant dollar thing, but for the change in the policy. Making sure Lori didn't, how I don't wanna miss her. There was one change that I would like, just a verbiage change in the policy. Under the secretary role, it says that the responsibilities associated with meeting minutes may be delegated to a staff member by majority vote. We would like to change the verbiage to say that responsibilities associated with meeting minutes may be delegated by majority vote, so that we could bring in a recording secretary or someone else to take the minutes without it needing to be a staff person.
So just strike to a staff member.
Yeah,
Yep,
it's just that simple. Yeah. Okay, so I'll make a motion to strike the designation for it being a staff member.
I'll second it.
all right, we have a motion to strike, delegate to a staff or to a staff member. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Okay, so we're just gonna strike that one spot. So some of you were here last week or last month. There was a person who was taking notes. His name is Ross. He was unavailable this week. Jeremy is hoping to have him be able to consistently pick up that role, which will free up some of Laura Lee's time. I should have introduced him to everyone. I'm sorry that I forgot to do that. There was just a lot going on, no excuses. So we wanted to fix this so that once we know that we have someone who's committed to coming every month, that we could make the vote that we need to make. So that's part of why we're updating the policy now. Jeremy, is he still interested once he gets through the training thing?
Yes, I verified a day or two ago that even though he couldn't make this meeting, his intent is to
Okay,
Seems
take
very
those
nice.
for us.
so next month we can do that. And then, Darla and I, when we met Laura Lee, she wants to like literally give the template for the
We're
minutes
working on it.
so that
The
she
first
doesn't
day
have
was a little
to
rough,
take it.
but.
Wait, no, yeah, so he would fill it out, give it to you, you would look through it, make sure it looks all right.
Yep.
Then he could send it out to the board and to Laura Lee. So it wouldn't actually need to be in the board packet. I mean, it could be in the board packet because he sent it to us all to look at prior, then Laura Lee can add it to the board packet from her copy. So that way we could maybe see them a
One
little
less thing you
sooner.
have to worry about.
Yes, so. You guys, we're going fast now and Mark's not even here yet. Okay, well,
You guys could look over the budget calendar.
yep, we can look at the budget calendar. I was also gonna say, do you wanna do but the financial things you were gonna talk about? I
Sure.
mean, I know we're way out of order, but at this point, I still wanna wait for Mark for the big dollar.
Well, the
things,
budget
so-
calendar is pretty much set, so maybe Mark won't probably have anything to say, whatever order you want to do this.
Well, so you want me to mention the budget?
Yeah, go ahead.
So, this is just like the same budget calendar that we had for this current year, but I changed the dates. Basically at this meeting, the board should appoint a budget officer. And then at the next meeting in March, we're gonna appoint the budget committee. And I have only one vacancy on our budget committee right now. And so then, we'll post the committee member form on the website. And then you guys can, look over however many come in and pick somebody. And so then that's 5 of you and then 5 appointed people, so we'd have 10 people. And then our budget committee meeting would be again at the library on May 19th, which is a Monday, and that is the 3rd Monday of the month. And so assuming hopefully our meeting doesn't go too long, then we still have the regular board meeting like right after the budget meeting. And so then the draft budget docs would go out to everybody on or around the May 2nd. So then everybody has a couple weeks to look at the budget. And then we have our meeting and deliberate it. And then the hearing to adopt it would be on June 23rd, which is our normal June meeting. And then I have to get the documents to the county by July 15th.
Okay,
We fixed that one date that was.
Yeah, it was the Monday. If we needed a second meeting, which we've never needed to in the 11 years I've done this. But in case we did need to do a second meeting, that next Monday is actually Memorial Day,
Okay.
so we moved it to a Tuesday.
Yep.
So.
Right.
Yeah, so anyways, that's the proposed, so if you guys want to make a motion to accept it,
accept the calendar.
yeah.
Make a motion to accept the calendar.
Yep, I'll second. All right, so we have a motion to accept the budget calendar for 2025. All in favor? Aye. All opposed?
Okay.
Well, we are all agreeable tonight.
All right, now, just a couple things I wanted to mention on the financials was,
We need the budget officer.
well, I mean, you can, or you can do it next month, but.
Okay.
I put it down, but. So just, what I'm gonna, now that I have the calendar for sure that you guys accepted, then I'm gonna email this out to the other appointed people and ask them, like, hey, are you still wanting to be involved this year? And here are the dates, here's the meeting. And then assuming everybody's like, yeah, this is great, then, but every now and then somebody moves out or,
Right.
can't be a
Got
part of
something
it.
going on.
Right,
So then we can fill more than the one spot,
okay, that works.
so.
All right, do you want to talk about the?
Yeah, so anyways, I do have a few copies. This first page is the balance sheet. If anybody wants to look at it, I think I only have like 3 copies. But so, anyway, so right now, our total checking and savings, which is, the money that we have in the money market, the People's Bank, LGIP, the swim club funds, like all of that. Including the cash in the cash register and the petty cash, we have 840,295. And in January of last year, we had basically 764,000 and change. And so we are ahead over $75,000 at January 31st than we were last year. So
Great.
that is a good thing. And then also our total assets, last year we were 793,000 and change. And today we are 863,000 and change. So again, we're over 70,000 ahead from where we were last year at this time. Which is really good because we forked out like over $90,000 for the boiler. You know, the boiler itself was 88 something and change, but then there was some more things that broke and whatnot that so the total bills ended up being over 90,000. And so for us to like take out 90,000, it's like, you wouldn't know it.
Right.
So anyways, that is just
Which is
super,
great.
yeah,
Very
super
good
encouraging.
recovery.
And then the other thing that, so like today, if you look at our Oregon State Treasury, the LGIP, it's 563,154, okay? In my thinking, like we could take 250,000 of that as our down payment for this project, and that still leaves us 200 and some thousand, right? But also, I mean, unless you knew this, but I'm gonna tell you. I made 3 transfers from March until November. I made 3 transfers to help cover bills and payroll during those lean months that we don't get a lot of property taxes. Okay, and so it was totaled $80,000. Well, right now, in the people's money market, we have 180,000 sitting in there. Okay, so I could theoretically use that same, you know, make those same 30,000 here, 40,000 here, 20,000 here, make that same 80,000 this coming next, 9 months, 8 months, which is part of this fiscal year and then part of into the next fiscal year. And not touch that 200 and some thousand left over from this draw that theoretically we could take. So anyways, I just,
That's great.
anyways, now we'd kind of really be living closer to the on fumes, but we could totally do it. So that's the good news that I wanted to share with everybody is that, we have enough healthy balances that I think that we really could do this project.
Okay.
So, and then, okay, then one more thing on the financials was then there's this sheet that's the profit and loss for January and where we are. So for January, for our program revenue, we made almost $22,000. This has got to be the best January we've done in like years. I mean, I just was like, what? Yeah, and so, if we can keep doing, 18 to 20,000 a month in our programming revenue, we're gonna definitely be over our $200,000 goal, so.
And when are we gonna add the inflatables? Cause we're
I
hoping
think
that'll
it's
give
gonna be
revenue also, right?
Yeah, well, so, anyways, if you want me to go into the rest of my thing, so. The inflatables are gonna be here any day. I mean, a few of the pieces were on back order, so. They were gonna wait until everything got to the warehouse before they shipped it out. And so we should be getting them anytime. And then, of course, we've got to have some training on how to set up and take care of them, and then also how to properly guard them. But as soon as they get here, we can get that going and then start having inflatable rec swims, which we're gonna charge a little bit more for. And then, another thing that we're gonna start is this 25 mile an hour, yeah.
That's Mark.
Right, a 25-mile swim challenge. Anyways, that's just fun. I don't see us really making a lot of revenue from that, but we've got that coming down. But something else that I'm super excited about is we have a staff member that works in the pool here, but she's also a school district employee. She works full-time for the school district. Well, she got this challenge where they've got some dollars that they're gonna pay people, staff, to put on some new classes or new fitness or exercise classes. So she came to me the other day, Friday, in fact, and was like, hey, what if I went through this program and I did some kind of a aqua Zumba class. Now, she's not technically a Zumba certified instructor, so we're not calling it Zumba. But we've got some names that we're kicking around thanks to Chat GPT. And anyways, it's gonna be awesome. But she goes to Zumba classes, like the dry land classes. And so she wants to do something like that with this pilot project with the school district. So the cool thing about this is this program, like the school district is gonna pay her for, to do this class for a few times. And then, of course, we're gonna do it here at the pool. The people will have to pay a little bit, right, to participate. But then we're hoping that this will just take off. Half my staff that we mentioned it to, they're like, oh, I wanna do it, I wanna do it. So we've got the time figured out, when we're gonna do it, we've got the instructor lined up, we're just filling out the paperwork and trying to flesh this out, and then we're gonna be hopefully offering
That's
this
great.
new Latin inspired aqua dance, and it's gonna be so much fun. So, and that should be a big moneymaker.
Good.
So,
Good.
So just a quick question as a side note. The inflatables are coming, they have to be anchored. Is the time before the project starting, as you're figuring out how that all works, does that give us a good idea of when they do the design? You can say, no, I want the anchors here and here and here, so that we will be fully prepared and have new anchors and all the things that we would need appropriately for the
oh,
inflatables.
yeah. So the nice thing about these inflatables is they just tie right into our existing, lane line anchors.
Okay.
So, yeah. Yeah, because those are already like, cemented
Right.
in. And they run, this direction. But if we need some other ones, then you just use other like secondary
Okay,
lines, basically mooring lines. So, yeah. So we'll have it all,
okay.
yeah.
So Mark, I have put off item number 30.1, waiting for you to get here.
Okay,
So Will is,
thanks for your patience.
well, no, you're good. Will is here and the school has generously offered to fund 50% of our pool restoration.
Awesome.
And we need to do a vote, and I wanted to include you and make sure you were here. To see if you had any questions or,
What do you think?
I think it sounds like a fantastic opportunity. They're going to pay 50% plus they're going to, also pay for the management team that will do the project. They're also taking care of the RFP process. So basically, they're doing it and we're handing them our half of the money. That's pretty much.
Which is a gift, believe me.
We're gonna probably be closed 8 to 10 weeks. We're thinking August. Sometime in August. It will also allow us to do other things in the pool that we would have done, we needed to do anyway, so it'll all be part of the cost that we're gonna pay out, so. It's an odd thing to say that spending $800,000 saves us a little bit of money, but in the long run overall, it does save us.
What do you think, Jeremy?
I'm pretty excited about it. I mean, we talked about several, alternatives, just in case things start going sideways a little bit, so we have some wiggle room, but this is amazing. I think this is really
Yeah.
awesome.
Big fan of this idea.
Okay. Well, if I see all smiles, then
Yeah.
I'm all smiles.
Well, we wanted to make sure that we weren't just making a decision in a bubble and that there
Yeah,
were.
no, thanks for waiting for me. So,
So we make a motion to thank the school district and thank Will for his help. And accept the offer to start the conversation or actually to move forward,
let's move forward.
just move forward with the renovation.
Yeah.
Okay,
I'll second.
All right, so we have a motion to move forward with the school district, and in what you just said, you're going to give us regular updates, we're gonna know what's going on, right? Even though you guys are managing it
Makes sense.
for the majority.
It's such a short time window as far as whether it be on site.
right?
I think it would make sense to, Wrangler or somebody from the construction firm also give the updates.
Sure,
Yes.
absolutely.
So we'll get a team together is the point.
Okay,
We'll have pool, the school district, HMK and the contract. Probably if we ramp up somewhere around mid-summer.
okay.
And participate in that.
Okay.
Just when do you think, we would go out, we would put our RFP out?
That's gonna be ASAP,
Okay.
because that's really right
How
now.
long does it go out usually? I mean, it's out for like a month or 2 months? Okay,
Yeah, or less, depending on
Do we have one?
yeah.
the response. Then there's a protest period, there's an official process you
Underneath
go
the
through.
thing.
That really is the piece that lines us up to for a successful.
Right.
So we gotta get that signed up pretty soon.
Yeah.
Especially if we're talking August.
Well, and that's the gift, if you'll do all of
Yeah.
that, we don't have to submit all for any RFP.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
I was gonna say this earlier, but our current loan that we have right now gets paid off next May.
Right.
So we are literally down to our last, like, what, 13 months, 14 months of payments. And so, if we pay a good chunk down, in the next 6 months or whatever. And then next year, if we're, if we're paying the school district back over a few years or however that's gonna look out. Then that loan payment, I mean, we can add to that
Right,
to pay them, and I mean,
just shift it from.
Yeah.
Direct.
cause it's already like 42,000, and. If we pay them 50,000 or 60,000 or however much, whatever we finally shake it out to be. I mean, it'll be easy.
Okay.
I mean, it'll be very doable.
And that's very generous to, if we do have to have you carry some of it.
Sure, yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. Well, we
It's
want
very
these-
practical too, to Orly.
So since we're completely out of order anyway, Robert and Chris, I know you both filled out sheets, but that's okay, before we finish this particular vote, does anyone in the audience or on Zoom have questions regarding this one item? Not your sheets, but this item, so.
I do have a quick question.
Yes, Jim, well,
So with the board's approval, you want to get the RFQ or RFP out as quickly as possible, so that means you gotta get it signed right away, right? So
we would have that initial conversation.
Mark, get that all taken care of very quickly, and then get the RFP created. Okay.
And the reason for that, just so thank you for that question. Got to inspect if we're going for the architect.
Right.
And so he's got his head with, in the drawings for what I saw, but there needs to be some additional. Perfect. Yeah. Okay.
And I don't think you need us for any portion of that.
I don't think so.
Right.
Okay.
We're good.
So I think the only thing we're really voting on is we will
Proceed
support
with-
your project
Proceeding
and
with the
proceed.
project. That
Yeah.
sound good?
Yep.
Okay.
Anyone else questions about the pool project? All right, so we have
Really good.
a motion and we have a second that we are going to be willing participants with the school district on the pool renovation. All in favor?
Aye.
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 All opposed? Nobody? There we go. We have our motion.
Yeah, great.
So Laura Lee, can you put it on your to-do list this week to talk to the Ford Foundation?
Yeah,
So
Yeah,
that we can make
because
sure.
I would
that if
agree
they
with
have a
that.
Time period that we can make sure that we've collected that portion of our donation.
Yeah,
also.
that's a good point. And I think from this board's point of view, except for doing whatever Will needs, I think our focus, to Laura Lee's point, is to now let's go find some money.
yeah.
Yeah.
And one of the things Jason talked about were grants, and I'm still very interested in whatever grants they know about that we can apply for. Because I think anything that we can do to help all of us is good for us, because we're all taxpayers. That's where the money comes from ultimately.
Let us
So,
know how we can help with the grant side.
If you can ask Remore for, just some details on what they know about,
Sure.
so we're sure we're not missing something,
Right, yeah, okay.
that would be really helpful. And unless you're a grant writer.
That's me.
There we go.
Other things outside.
All right, so we have done this.
That's excellent.
We have done that. We have approved the budget, we approved the budget calendar. Next month, we're gonna appoint the budget
Oh, okay.
officer. Laura Lee is going
And the
to,
committee.
yeah, she's
Oh,
gonna,
I see what
she's
you're
gonna email out for the committee to see if anyone else needs to drop and put out the application for us to approve new committee members.
Okay.
We removed in the policy manual, we removed the line that said that the secretary that takes minutes needs to be a staff member and just, it can be someone that the board votes for. So we made that change. Laura Lee gave the reports and in the facility and the staff reports. So the thing that leaves on this list, Mark, is a conversation again with you about the scholarship consideration.
Can I just ask, did we give you enough time to cover everything?
Yeah,
Okay, good.
yeah.
For one and four of the staff, that's a senior, that's kind of going to college. So that's,
I think where we left it was the thought that once we were through the remodel, we should readdress it.
oh, okay.
If,
I'm okay.
but we wanted to make sure that you agreed to that.
That's
Okay.
And that would fall into next year's
Yeah.
seniors. So we would have the
Yeah.
pool renovation done. We would have some more time for a decision on that. Prior to the next,
Well, and we can put the
Graduation.
funds into the budget for next year
Right.
that way. which
yes,
Today,
Yeah.
they're not in. there.
during the budget committee time.
And
Yeah,
we could also fundraise for it once we get through this hurdle.
okay,
I'm good with that. Thank you.
all right,
Thank you.
great. Okay, so Robert and Chris, you both have papers. So Robert, since Chris already talked, we'll let you go first.
Right. So all I wanted to do is give, so I'm Robert Waterhouse, 412 East Ash Street, Lebanon, Oregon. And I wanted to give a little update on the creation of the Friends of the Library organization.
Or the pool, right?
Yeah, Friends of the Pool. I just say it over and over again. I was on a Friends of the Library. But no, this is Friends of the Pool. We submitted for and then received registration with the Secretary of State. So we are now officially registered with the Secretary of State. We have applied for and received our EIN from the federal government, IRS. We are currently responding to a Department of Justice registration for charitable organizations form, which is actually requiring us to revise our bylaws to make them better than they were. So once we finish that, then we have everything we need to complete that registration. And then our next step is to apply for the 501(c)(3) steps. So, you know, we're on the path and pushing forward. And hopefully we can get money for some of those starting blocks.
Yeah.
That would be nice.
Yeah, that would be actually be a perfect project for us to be
Oh,
working
yeah.
on.
That would
when
be.
we approach donation for donations.
And I think so
Anything
too.
to that.
Because,
Yeah.
because it's something people can see.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Right.
See their
exactly.
name on it.
Uh, That and as you mentioned before, business sponsors.
Exactly right. I think that would be a great first project.
Yeah, oh, and just so you know, the officers on the board, the president is Peggy Snyder, secretary Rose Crest, and treasurer. Rob Myers.
Nice.
Yes. Thank you.
We will now.
Yeah. Yeah, we neglected to assign our next meeting date.
Okay, and Chris, you had something?
I just put my name on there, so if I had questions about
The pool stuff.
the pool.
Okay. So you need these. Okay. So. Oh, yep, there's
Are you gonna bring up? The website. With that transfer.
Did we do that already? Did we?
I don't. Did the website, you have a website now?
Yes, it's not much on it yet. but
Right,
it
we were,
exists.
one of the things have very light concern about is the fact that the board members cannot be. We can be volunteers only. So we would want to transfer whatever we have for Friends of the Pool to whoever you decide, yourself or Peggy or Rose. That might be offered.
Yeah, so currently I am charged with the website.
Okay. Is it registered now in your name?
Yeah, it's up
Okay.
and running.
Okay.
So you got the domain switched over to you? Okay. 'Cause
Oh,
Lori
okay.
Lori emailed me and said that it didn't go or something.
Oh, really? Okay.
I mean, it's a technicality, but it would
Yeah.
be good to just keep it clean.
Did she give you the login to the email
Yeah.
and all that stuff?
Okay, good.
If it didn't work, email me, I could click any buttons I need to, I don't have access to it anymore. But
Okay.
Oh,
the domain was originally under my name, so if it didn't transfer,
Right, right.
then we finish that process.
Yeah, I got the email.
I guess we have director remarks still. So, all right,
well, let me just ask, was there anything else? Cause you helped set up the pool fundraising committee. Is there anything else that should transfer over to Robert?
Not that I'm aware of, it sounds like he was working with Lori, there were 2 or 3 things, there was the email, there was a domain. That may have been it.
Okay. So Robert will be in your name, not Lori's name?
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that keeps her,
Yeah, Lori turned it over.
right, perfect,
There was a binder that she had as well, which is now in my possession.
perfect, yeah.
yeah, good. All right, so director comments. Jeremy, you have anything to say? No? Mark? Good. Darla?
Just yay.
Yeah.
It's great.
All right.
Okay, so unless anyone has anything else, we're glad you made it. Do you need a ride home?
And I got the car that works.
Good,
Well,
good.
The little pickup has been working for years since,
It's always when you're in a hurry.
you know.
So I'd make a motion to end the meeting. We should all celebrate.
Yeah.
Great.
And Mark seconded. Okay, we have a motion to adjourn. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thank
Thank
you,
you.
everybody. Thank you so much. Will.
Super good effort.
We keep-
Yeah.
Your meeting.
Yeah, I mean, I have to keep
All right, thank you.
For the-
Yeah.
I'm getting better at documenting things.
Yeah. And I
Getting
tried.
better at documenting.
I did not waste some, you know,